Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to talk about the latest episode of Superman and Lois. This one was called Through the Valley of Death. And at the beginning, we see John Irons trying to connect with his counterpart's sister for some reason, who I guess is still alive on this earth. And he, I guess, obviously can't talk to his real sister because she's back on his own earth. We don't know why he's doing that. We don't know. At least I don't remember them mentioning before, but that's how it starts off. Then we see that Superman is basically being tortured by Morgan Edge. He's trying to install General Zod's consciousness into Clark. And that was both scary for the character and for, humanity, and cool at the same time because, of course, General Zod is an iconic character and huge in the Superman comic and mythos. Now, the next thing we see is the boys are trying to figure out a way to help. The boys being Jonathan and Jordan. They're trying to, or at least Jordan is, trying to listen for Clark, whom I guess they figure would be calling out to them or whatever. Lois asks John to rescue Clark, not kill him, to get him out of there so that he can't, actually be a threat to humanity. But he doesn't want to do that. He just wants to eliminate Clark and ask questions later. And the general, Lois's father, is secretly with him on that, even though he kind of says, well, let's not rule out being able to rescue him. And it turns out that John has a red solar warhead, I guess, that fits on a little missile that he can shoot out of his wrist. And he plans to use it to weaken Superman to the point where he can be taken out by conventional weapons or whatever. Lois is dismayed by this. She really wants to just focus on turning Clark back to normal. And, she assumes he's been turned. And she asks Lena and her husband what it was like when they were taken over by Kryptonians. Lena by, choice to help out, and the husband because he volunteered for that program, not knowing really, I guess, what they were going to do to him anyway. And they basically tell her, yeah, you can fight it. It's difficult, but your own personality is still there. So she counts that as good news. Back at the desert stronghold of Morgan Edge, Clark is fighting being taken over, but it's too hard, and he ends up basically running off to get away from Morgan, and he basically calls out to his kids, the one that can hear him anyway. And he says, basically just gets his name out is about it, and tells them where he is so they can try to help him. Next thing we know, Diggle shows up. He's been making the rounds on all the CW shows, which we knew was going to happen because there was news about how he was going to show up on all the shows for an episode. Now, are we going to see the Green Lantern stuff in this episode? Can we please see the Green Lantern? They've been teasing it. I want to see the Green Lantern stuff, especially because there's no mention of the Green Lantern Corps whenever the other John Irons talks about what happened on his Earth. So maybe having a lantern on this Earth would be the key to keeping Superman from hurting anybody without necessarily killing him if it comes to an attack situation. So I was really hoping we were going to see Green Lantern. Now, this episode took the time to show us that Lena's family is getting a lot of crap from the townspeople for their part in everybody being taken over by Kryptonians, which Lena had a hand in unwittingly. And Lois ends up telling them, look, this is, again, she says, this is Morgan Edge doing this, not you. It's not your fault. Don't listen to them. And they ultimately decide, even after seeing their house tagged with spray paint and stuff, people saying go away, to just shrug it off and keep plugging and keep being them and so forth. So great. I don't know why it was in there, but okay. Lois ends up having to tell John that Clark is Superman because he keeps persisting in this thing, I want to kill him, I want to kill him. And she starts saying, look, if you do that, you're going to take away my kid's father. You're going to take away the love of my life. You've got to try to help me. And he's like, yeah, no. No, I still want to kill him. I have to. I don't have a choice. Then they flip back again to Lena and her family. They're having a lighthearted soap and water fight while they're washing the window. And I literally, from the spray paint, and I literally said to my wife, this is good stuff. This family interaction, this this dynamic. They have chemistry as a family. It's good stuff. Can they have a show? And then I can maybe watch that or not watch it, a separate show. And then I'll either watch it or I won't. But like, why is it in my Superman show? I don't need this in my Superman show. And, it was a really sort of heartfelt scene, a heartstrings tugging scene. It was fine, everything, not overly sappy, but it's like a warm, heartwarming scene. Like, okay, there's nothing wrong with having that in the Superman show, but like, can we have it with the characters that are the superhero and the significant other and their immediate friend? Like, why do we, that are on the team? Like, why is it this separate storyline about this family that's kind of involved, but not really? You know what I mean? Like, with Superman, I don't know. Then Jonathan himself has a talk with John. He says, if you do this, you're going to be taking my dad away. He can be saved. He's really great at his core. He would never turn on humanity. And John basically still says, no. So I don't know. It just isn't looking very good at this point for Clark. We didn't get to see Green Lantern. I'm going to give you that spoiler. No Green Lantern. But we do get to see at this point John suit up as Steel. And it was pretty cool because he could fly with the jetpack boots, I guess you'd call them, the rocket boots. And he confronts Superman, who at this point has become Zod, which was really daunting to see. What was weird is that he's still wearing Superman's outfit. And, he doesn't tear that quote unquote not S off of his chest like immediately, because it's the symbol of the House of El. And the House of El, specifically Jor-El, were like Zod's mortal enemy on Krypton before Superman on Earth. So you'd think he would have just ripped that right off, and it would have been cool to have him do that and say something about, pox on the House of El or whatever, because it would have been true to character, but they didn't do that. That's okay. It just would have been a cool bonus. Anyway, Superman and John Irons fight. Of course, it's Zod, whatever. This fight goes into space. The fight's on land. It's a pretty cool, fight scene. And in a moment of lucidity, Superman comes back to himself. He can hear Iris pleading with John not to kill him. And Superman says, no, you've got to do it. You got to take me out. You got to take me off the table. You got to put me down, whatever it takes. Don't allow me to hurt anybody. Don't allow Edge to use me. Don't allow Zod to use my body to hurt people. It doesn't say all this, but this is what he's saying. Take me out. Do it. Kill me. Neutralize me. Whatever you got to do. Lois, of course, is on the comms in John's ear saying, no, don't do it. No, don't do it. But even though Superman is urging him to do it and saying it's the right thing that he needs to do, he says, no, screw that. Screw Morgan Edge. Screw this whole thing. I'm not giving up. And he goes over to Clark and starts saying stuff to him like, you can do this. You can push it off. You can think about your family. Think about your wife. Think about, all the things that are important to you. You're bigger than this. You're better than this. Basically gives him a huge pep talk and helps him push Zod's consciousness out of his mind. Now, where that means Zod went, I don't know. I doubt they've killed off Zod here. But Superman comes back to himself and is himself, and it was really, really cool the way they did it. They end up then using the red sun thing on Morgan. This takes him down. He was trying to do something with the, I guess, Eradicator device at that moment. I don't know what he was trying to do with it, but they end up stopping him and taking him out, and he gets locked up in a special military facility under Kryptonite type green light so that he doesn't have his powers. That's pretty much where they left the episode. We're going to see where it goes from there. As I said, no Green Lantern still, which is not good. But I am glad that we had John Irons in this episode. It's a really good character. I've said that before. So I'm glad they brought him back, and I hope we see more of this character because I very much like what they're doing with it. Now, I say that never having read the Steel comics or anything that Steel did in the comics, but I like the way they're doing it on this adaptation on the show, and so I hope they continue with that. This guy does a really good job in the part, and it's written well, so that's cool. But that's all I have to say about that episode. I'll, of course, be back with a review of the next episode once it airs. Until then, I take my leave, and I say, as always, peace and long life.